us back on our way? Can we try to fight against the grain of throwing out what we made? The future's far away, but I will stay, because I feel again, I feel again, oh now I feel again, we're bringing this back to life. We're picking up where we left off and on again. We never quite could forget, 'cause what we got so intense. I feel it again, I feel it again, I feel it again. We're bringing this back to life.
Better off as strangers. Believe me when I say, loving me is loving danger. Your heart is bound to break. I walk alone in the night, beneath the pale moon. Loving's for the fools. Baby, beware of my bite. I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm a lone wolf. 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 I'm a creeping through the shadows and the corners of your mind. I go where the wind blows. I run but I don't hide. I hear the call of the wild, whispering the name. No, I can't be tamed. My heart belongs to the night. I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm a lone wolf. 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 I'm a
Alright, guys. Sorry about that. I think I might have been a couple of seconds late. I apologise. Also, I apologise for the whole mix-up with the upcoming and... Yeah, YouTube. Way to go. Way to develop a live service that's easier to use. So, I couldn't get it to attach to the existing live service event that was supposed to be happening today. Yeah, YouTube. Way to go. Woohoo! So, but guys, if you're wondering, this is the time that we go live every day. It's 5 o'clock my time. But I think it's actually close to 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon over in the US, I think. Though, depending where they are. But, yeah, we'll get into all that in a sec. So, spin me a little raccoon around. Alright. Oh, probably helps if I go through and actually tweet out the links, too. That would probably help. Alright. And we'll send out the Twitter link too as well. So you know we're going to have to talk about the impeachment. Or lack of. But don't worry, the Democrats have been kind enough to provide a distraction, so it's not just going to be all about that. I mean, sorry, there's been another shooting. It's funny how they always need to divert attention away from something. There seems to be a shooting in a Democratic state. Alright, oh, that's a nice hashtag. Vote Trump to save America. That's nice. I like that hashtag. Alright. Alright. Yeah. I can't find any hashtags that are regarding impeachment. Because it went that well. It's gone that well that I can't find anybody actually using the hashtag impeachment. No, can't find anybody using it. Alright. There we go. Does that answer the question about how well this impeachment proceeding has gone? So, yeah. And copy the link. We'll send it to... Right. And we probably should send it to the Discord. No, just copy that. And that. Alright, okay. I don't have a drink. I probably should have my drink. Give me 1 sec, guys. Okie dokie. Sorry, I needed some caffeine for today's show because we're going to be talking about the lack of impeachment. And it's... well, I need caffeine for that. Alright, okay. I'm getting a warning saying they want me to up my bitrate. Really, YouTube? You want me to up my bitrate? Okay, that's no problem. I can do that. Alright, so output. Okay, done. Alright, let's jump into today's show. And let's kick it off, as they would say. So, alright. Alright, so let's get going, so to speak. Alright, so, a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about today is the impeachment, but it's not just going to be that. We're also going to be talking about this shooting as well. So let's obviously go through and start recording. Alright guys, so a 15-year-old student is captured and hospitalized after shooting at least 5, one fatally in early morning California high school attack before fleeing to nearby Santa Cruz home. So a 15-year-old Californian student was taken into custody and transported to local hospital for treatment after allegedly carrying out a school shooting that killed one person and injuring several others, 2 of them critical. Now, the shooter was reportedly, the shooting was reportedly at 7:45 a.m. Pacific time at Santa High School on Crennington Way in Santa Cruz, about 40 miles from downtown Los Angeles. Los Angeles County Sheriff Alex Benoit tweeted, "Suspect in custody and being treated at local hospital." The unnamed high school student was apprehended when officers stormed a home near the school. So, the Henry Miller Noho Hospital confirmed a female student has died of her injuries. 2 patients are in critical condition. Another male patient is in good condition. Police say the initial reports of 7 injured were likely due to duplicate reports. So, Los Angeles County Undersheriff Tim Mawai, I might be mispronouncing, tweeted that rumors have been circulating that the shooter may have posted threats on social media. If you have learned of if you ever learn of threats, please notify us ASAP. It will result in an immediate investigation, he wrote. We have successfully prevented possible acts of violence as a result of such reports. Philip Gamadi, a Suffocus High School, I might be mispronouncing, alumni, told ATLA he's organising a vigil for those hurt in the school shooting, which will take place at 7 p.m. on Sunday. The Signal reported that one student was shot in the torso and treated by a teacher in a classroom. One of the victims was found wounded in the school choir room. Television images show sheriff deputies swarming the school and several people being moved on gangways. Gunnies? I don't know what that is, but anyway. So, lines of students were escorted away from the school by armed deputies. The Los Angeles County Sheriff sent out a tweet earlier today saying officers were searching a male suspect in dark clothing. A student called Alexa, who heard a gunshot before she was evacuated with her class, and said she and other students just ran for their lives. She said she didn't hear any warnings before the alarm went off regarding a student or know the suspect may be. I heard the first gunshot, which I felt was like running for my life at that moment. I prayed that everybody was okay and safe. Never heard of threats or problems that this suddenly happened. Now we're here getting evacuated from a school, not knowing when we will be able to come back, she added. It's a sad world we live in, one which cannot be controlled. A mother of the student at the school tearfully told KTAA her daughter called earlier saying that the girl burst into the classroom after being shot and other students jumped into actions trying to stop the bleeding. A student named Riley told KTLA5 that she was standing with friends by the library on campus when she heard 4 to 5 gunshots and started running. One student described how his heroic teacher sprang into action as soon as he heard gunshots. Madison Peters told KTLA, "We've heard the distinct sound outside. My teacher quickly ran, sprang to his feet, got up, locked the door, asked one of the students to get the keys." So, we got a bunch of desks, turned off the lights, and reinforced the door, and we all just stay hidden. One student who was on his way to the school when the shooting happened said officers had an emergency drill in this last month. He told KTLA, "I was going to school when it happened and I heard 3 shots. People started running. It was chaotic. My sister is still in the school. She's still in the choir room and I'm waiting for her to come out. We've had all these drills many times. They warned us about this thing happening. It's so surreal. It never felt this real. We definitely had one last month. So far, for the most part, it's duck and cover and block." The mother of the student, Anthony Peters, told NBC he was still on lockdown outside the school, but had text that he was uninjured. Oh, okay. So yeah, a mother of the student. Yep. Okay. Yep. So one of the teachers said that in the active shooter, "I heard the shots, saw 3 kids get shot." Peter's mother told NBC. It's not really going in about motive, which is probably more the interesting thing. So I can't really see anything about motive. Look, to be honest, at the end of the day, look, I don't want to politicize this because obviously it's just happening. But why is it always these democratic-leaning states that have these shooters? Sure, there might be 1 or 2 every now and then that happen in Republican areas. But it's always places like California that have these shootings. Why is that? Has anybody sort of worked it out yet? Look, in Australia, we got rid of firearms, and it did not change anything. We still have mass shootings in Australia. The difference is that the news doesn't blow it up on the mainstream media, because then they might have to realise the gun control system didn't work. Like earlier this year, Darwin. Guy walks into his work, kills 5 people with a gun. Northern Territory, I think it was. Darwin, yeah. Like, getting rid of guns doesn't stop bad guys from getting guns. What does stop bad guys from getting guns is shooting them. And that's... Look, I don't want to say arm every teacher, because obviously there are teachers that are just like, yeah. But if you have like an ROTC or some sort of teacher that has some qualifications in handling a firearm in a drill, I would say, yeah, definitely, maybe the teachers need to be armed. I don't know. I don't know what the answer to this problem is. What are you going to do? Ban firearms. Doesn't work. Didn't work in Australia. And we had a lot less guns than you guys have over there. Right? So what's the next thing you're going to do? Okay, is prevention. Well, prevention doesn't really do a lot because you're not treating the cause of the problem. So maybe instead of going around and talking about banning firearms, which won't do shit, and maybe instead of going through and doing all these drills under the sun and all this sort of shit, why don't we start looking at the cause of what's causing this? You know, where was this guy's father? Where was this guy's... Did he come from a happy household? Did he come from a household that had a mother and a father figure? Or was it a single mother? Was it a single father? You know, was there bullying happening at school? Let's get to the actual crux of the problem instead of just trying to prevent it all the time. It's such a stupid thing. You know, it's like you go to the doctor and they're like, well, you know, you might have a headache, so we'll give you a Panadol. Okay. But what caused the headache in the first place? Well, I don't know. We don't need to worry about that. We're just going to give you the Panadol. It's that sort of bullshit sort of treatment that really pisses me off. But I don't know, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. I don't know what the answer is with these school shootings. I really, really don't. To be honest, I would say people need to start looking at their family homes, their household and their upbringing that they're bringing kids into it. Are these kids going to end up being school shooters in the future because of bad parenting, or is it bad school bullying, or whatever it may be? You know, like, I was bullied at school. I didn't get a gun and shoot anybody. But then I came from a decent family home that had a mum and a dad. You know, if I tried any of that shit, even if I survived the school shooting, right? Even if I was to survive pulling it off, you know what would happen? My dad would whoop my ass when I got home. And that, to me, that was more terrifying than anything. Because my dad would whoop my ass. You know, strong male father figure in the family. I don't know, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. I don't know how to solve this problem. I really, really don't. But at the end of the day, obviously something needs to happen. Banning firearms isn't going to do shit. We tried that in Australia. We still have shootings. What are you going to do? Metal detectors on every door? Obviously, they already have that. It's not working. Gun-free zones. Hello, this is California. It's got more gun-free zones than you can possibly poke a stick at. It doesn't work because guess what? If someone is going to go into a school to shoot someone, they're not going to care about a gun-free zone. I can't believe that it takes some guy who's a frigging panda on YouTube to realize this long before the Democratic candidates in that area do. A deaf one says, they're a more controlled population, the more desperate they become. Children don't fear their parents anymore. No, because parents are being neutered. You can't hit your kids anymore. And obviously, yes, there is a major difference between abuse and discipline, right? Let's not go there. But I'm just talking about discipline. You can't discipline your kids anymore. Because if you do, you're going to get dragged into family court and lose the kids. You know? Like, it's like society wants these shooters. Like, it's... How to make a school shooter? You increase bullying at school. You take away guns or put in gun-free zones. You destroy the family home and the family, you know, sort of system. You get rid of a father figure out of the home. You bring up a whole bunch of single mums or single dads, either way. And you wonder why you have school shootings. Well, guess what? Which political party tends to lean in those sort of directions? You know? I'll give you a hint. Starts with a D. Def One says you need Star Trek to have gun-free zones. Yeah, even in Star Trek, they didn't even have gun-free zones, man. Like, even Star Trek doesn't have gun-free zones. They'll use anything to further the narrative. Hey, Def One, how are you, buddy, by the way? But yeah, like at the end of the day, it's just big friggin' surprise. You know, gun-free zones don't work. Who would have thought? And I'm pretty sure this school had a gun-free zone. What do you reckon the bets on that were? But guys, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Alright. Oh boy, we're going to jump into the old interesting one now, aren't we? So a principal who banned gay books has been charged with child pornography. Oh boy. A former Kentucky school principal has been indicted on child pornography charges a decade after he first made headlines for banning books with LGBTQ storylines. Philip Todd Wilson, the former principal of the Clark County Area Technology Center in Westchester County, was charged with 17 child pornography and distribution charges in August, according to Kentucky State Police. A spokesman for the Kentucky Department of Education told NBC News that Wilson was no longer employed at the school. Wilson, 54, was the principal of the Montgomery County High School, another institute in Kentucky, 10 years ago when he banded together with other administrators to remove several young adult novels that have been listed as opinion reading in English classes. Wilson fought to ban books with homosexual content as well as those mentioned drugs, sex, child abuse and suicide because he deemed those topics inappropriate for students. According to the 2009 article from the Lexington Herald Leader, more than half of the top 11 most frequent challenged and banned books of 2018 include LGBT content, according to a report by the American Library Association. 4 books were reportedly challenged by Wilson and his associates, eventually pulled for the curriculum were Twisted by Lauren Halsey Andrews, Deadline by Chris Karacha, Lessons from a Dead Girl by Joe Knowles, and Unwind by Neil Shuttersman. Though Knowles' books is about a girl who endures sexual and emotional abuse from a female friend, Knowles says her books was banned for homosexual content. Was it though, really? Like, it's about a girl who receives emotional abuse from a female friend. I wouldn't really go calling that, homosexual content. But anyway. It was a very new author at the time, and this happened at the press coverage was overwhelming. Knowles, author of The Lesson of a Dead Girl, wrote in a recent post on Facebook, I was horrified by the accusations he and the superintendent made and heartbroken for the brave teacher, Russia Al Millans, who stood up for our books and faced so much unfair criticism. In response to news, Wilson's indictment, Knowles added, I said to some friends last night when I got the news, you can't make this stuff up. Laurie Halsey Anderson, whose book Twisted examined toxic masculinity and includes a character accused of being gay after he turns down sex with a girl who is too intoxicated to consent, no bias here in whatsoever in this book, also took to Twisted after learning about the charges against Wilson. Books that help kids examine the violence, abuse and shame they've endured are very threatening to the people who commit those acts of violence, abuse and shaming, she wrote, which I would tend to agree with. To be honest, do I think this is I know people are going to try and claim this guy is a Republican and it's, because of his faith and religious beliefs or blah, 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 or whatever they're going to try and make it out to be. To be honest, this guy, I think he just banned these books because he knew they were wrong because he was getting off to it. Like, this is a guy that was caught with child porn, right? So he knows that sort of genre. I'd imagine that's why he tried to ban the books. Guilty conscience. This has nothing to do with him being Republican or Democrat or any of that sort of shit. Like, God, some of the biggest... Jeffrey Epstein was a Democratic supporter. Right? Child porn does not know any political bounds. Right? It jumps from both left and right. They're both involved in that sort of shit. So at the end of the day, I don't think this is a political matter, as some people are going to try and make it out. I think this is merely a guy that knew these books were wrong because he was, touching himself and had child porn, and I think he just knew these books were wrong, and that's why he wanted them banned, because that guilty conscience sort of thing. Like they say down here, and this is actually a really, really good quote. Books that help keep us examine the violence and abuse, they endure very threatening to people who commit those acts of violence and abuse. So it's sort of like, it's the people that see those themes in those books are normally the people that do it. But at the end of the day, yeah, I don't think this is a left and a right thing, as some people are going to try and make it out to be. To be honest, CP or child porn, I think it affects both sides politically. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Look, at the end of the day, I'm glad they caught this creep. I'd say castrate him. But yeah, at the end of the day, I don't think this is a left or right matter, as some people on the left are going to claim. I think this guy's just a creep. And like I say, Jeffrey Epstein was one of the biggest Democratic supporters. Work that one out. But let me know your thoughts are in the comment section below. So we have a little bit of fake news from CNN here. We covered this yesterday, but obviously CNN's trying to push an agenda. So let's jump into it and debunk it. So Italian council is flooded immediately after rejecting measures on climate change. Let's lie with admission, because what this should actually read is Italian council is flooded after torrential rain. Because that's what it was. They had a rainstorm. They had rain. They have not gone through and built this system that was going to protect. I believe this is supposed to be, I was going to say this is, was this Venice or, I can't see, or is this just Italy itself? So it's Ventura Regional Council. So where is that? Yeah, Venice. Okay, yeah, it's Venice. So what actually happened here is they haven't built the system. The system has not been completed. That was supposed to protect Venice because of corruption, blowout budgets, fighting amongst the political leaders. That was supposed to be completed by like 2011 or something. It's now slated to be completed by 2021, I think it was. It was like 10 years later. So yeah, at the end of the day, that, and they had a torrential downpour. Oh my god, you mean a city that is literally sinking underwater, sank further underwater after receiving rain? Imagine my shock. Wasn't a climate council of the UN on global warming delayed due to location being buried in snow? I'm not quite sure, but that would be funny. But let's jump into this. So, Ventura Regional Council, which is located on Venice's Grand Canal, was flooded for the first time in history on Tuesday night, just after it rejected measures on combat climate change. The historical Italian city has brought to its knees this week by the worst flooding in more than 50 years because of rain. And the council chamber in Fenofini Palace started to take in water around 10 p.m. local time. As councillors were debating the 2020 regional budget, Democratic Party councillor Andrea Cicchetti said in a long Facebook post. So, ironically, the chamber was flooded 2 minutes after the Major League Brothers of Italy and Forza Italian parties rejected our amendments to tackle climate change. Zinni, who was deputy chairman of the Environment Committee, says in the post, which also has photos of the room underwater, among the rejected amendments were measures to find renewable sources and replace diesel buses with more effective and less polluting ones, to scrap polluting stoves and reducing the impact of plastics, she said. Zinni went on to accuse Veneto Regional President Luca Zazzani, I might be mispronouncing, who's a member of the Matteo Salvini's far-right legal party, of presenting a budget with no concrete actions to combat climate change. Because it was rain! The regional council spokesman Alexandria Ovinci confirmed to CNN that the council was flooded after discussing amendments to the 2020 budget without specifying which ones. The council's president, the League's Roberto Cambani, I'm getting that name wrong, I apologise, rejected Zanini's accusations in a statement to CNN. Beyond propaganda and deceptive reading, we are voting for the regional budget that spent 965 million euros over the past 3 years in fighting air pollution, smog, which is a determining factor in climate change, the statement said. To say that we do nothing is a lie, Kabadi said. We're in the region that after the 2010 flood launched a plan to safeguard hydraulically safety for a total of 6.2 billion in exorbitant amount of regional finances. Kabadi also mentioned that the 468 million euros spent in the aftermath of the Venice storm last year, which flattened hundreds of thousands of trees. Earlier, Clombardi, who posted videos of the flood at Ferrari's place on Facebook, said in a statement to a local paper, Guardia di Mori, never had such a situation occur here at the council. The flood-proofed bulkheads were not significant to contain the flood waves, nor was it possible to leave the building. It was preferred to guarantee safety and all those to stay inside the place. Palace, sorry. Hey Lee, how are you? Now look, at the end of the day, like I said, look, the reason why Venice has had a bit of a water problem at the moment was because their bulkhead system that they were supposed to be implementing by 2011 has not been done. Okay? The Venice is literally sinking beneath the water at the moment. It's literally doing the same thing as Atlantis. It's sinking. But at the end of the day, the bulkheads that they were building, it's not been finished, right? Corruption, fighting amongst the political parties, overblown budget has literally blown this budget out for these bulkheads. Instead of being completed by 2011, it's now like 2021. And the waves that they actually had crashing over into the city was actually because those bulkheads were not ready. Now, obviously, they've also had a huge problem with rain lately. There's been a lot of rain, which has obviously also caused this issue. To blame climate change it's disingenuous at best. It's them pushing a political party, and at the end of the day, it has very little to do with climate change. This is more the fact that there has been a breakdown in the government who goes through and literally is preparing a city that is sinking, by the way. It's literally not preparing a city's bulkheads, not getting the system up and running because of government corruption. But, you know, literally blaming that instead of climate change doesn't sell papers, I suppose. You know, this is CNN. Is anybody surprised that CNN is disingenuous with the honest truth here? No, of course not. But yeah, that's what's happened. government corruption, overblown budgets, party fighting members, party members fighting. I'm dyslexic today. But yeah, all those sort of things have stopped these bulkhead system from being implemented. And that's what's supposed to stop the waves from crashing into the city. Not to mention the fact they had high amounts of rain and high winds, which also pushed the waves over the bulkheads as well. The bulkhead system is failing because it needs an upgrade. Oh my god, who would have thought? It's supposed to have been done almost 10 years ago now. But they're still fluffing around with it. 8 years. 8 years ago now. Because of corruption. Because of party members fighting and bickering and... yeah. Who would have thought? Use your words, Nonpartisan. Me speak English real well. Me like English teacher. Yeah. But that's what's happening in Venice at the moment. CNN going on about climate change. It's a lot of crap. It really, really is. Climate change does not stop your council from getting bulkheads built. Climate change, like, at the least, what, you're going to claim that climate change caused the rain? Show me the data that proves that. It backs that up, maybe. But, yeah. But here it is here. Here's a photo of it here. Hey, Trip. How are you, buddy? But, like I say, yeah. City needs bulkhead system. Who would have thought? It's not like they designed one back in, supposed to have been done by 2011. Thank God, Thank God that wasn't supposed to have happened. But yeah, climate change, me agenda. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Alright. So, we're going to get into the absolute mess that is the impeachment proceedings. Because you guys, you've probably heard about this. The Democrats at the moment are trying to impeach Trump. You're probably wondering what the hell is going on. How's it going? Is he going to be impeached? Is he going to be fine? And the fact that you're not hearing much about it from the news should probably tell you everything that you need to know. But we do have a whole bunch of articles. Let's break it all down. Let you know exactly what's happening with that impeachment. Because, to be honest, I was sick of talking about this half an hour after the news broke. Isn't Venice physically sinking? Yes, it is. Has nothing to do with the oceans rising. No, and to be honest, the oceans haven't risen that much either, Trip, to be honest. So, yeah. I got parents that own waterfront property. And they still own waterfront property. They have not had to relocate because the oceans have swallowed their property. And they're literally on the water, like literally on the ocean. So, but let's jump into this. Let's talk about impeachment. Democrats during impeachment hearing. Hearsay can be much better evidence than direct. What? Really? Huh? Let's jump into this. So, Democrat Representative Mike Quinley faced intense backlash on Wednesday afternoon, after claiming that during the Democrat impeachment inquiry hearing, that hearsay can be much better evidence than direct evidence. In a rambling statement, Quinney said, and if gets to close In a rambling statement, Quinney said, and if gets to close primer on hearsay, I think the American public needs to be reminded that countless people have convicted on hearsay because the courts have routinely allowed and created near expectations to hearsay. What the... am I just not able to speak properly today, or does that not make any sense? Let's just listen to what he has to say.
And if I guess to close, primer on hearsay, I think the American public needs to be reminded that countless people have been convicted on hearsay because the courts have routinely allowed and created needed exceptions to hearsay. Hearsay can be much better evidence than direct, as we have learned in painful instances, and it's certainly valid in this instance.
Well, gentlemen, yield because none of those exceptions would apply to this testimony.
It's not.
He got shut down pretty quick. Look, at the end of the day, if I have someone that literally says to me, don't confuse me with the truth, yeah. But if I have someone that turns around and says to me, for example, I have evidence that Jim Stone, for example, has killed someone. And then I've got someone else saying they've got evidence from, they've heard from someone else that it wasn't Jim, that it was Jill. Right? Do I need to look at both pieces of evidence? Of course, right? Obviously, you take what Jill is saying with a grain of salt, but you would at least look into it, right? Because it might be truth. The evidence might be fabricated. Sure. But if you've got the evidence that Jill Stone, I think I said the name was, I can't remember the first name now, has actually gone through and actually killed someone. If you've got the knife, if you've got the evidence, if you've got like the fingerprints and everything like that, then it doesn't really matter what someone else might be claiming they saw, or they've claimed that they've heard other people say, because it's like Chinese whispers, right? You get enough people in a line, lined up and repeating the same sentence to each other, you notice that Chinese whispers, it gets very distorted even after like 3 or 4 times. Right? That's why you have evidence. That's why you have evidence to convict people on. And I don't think anybody has ever been convicted on just hearsay alone. Right? So I don't think that's even true. I think people that have been convicted on hearsay, for example, that's like when they've literally been confessed to like killing someone. So like, for example, say Tripp has confessed to a deaf one that he killed someone, for example, right? And then a deaf one gets up on stage and then turns around and says, yes, Tripp confessed to me that he killed someone, for example. Then that would be hearsay. But that's not even what happened here in the Democratic case. Because the fact is that it's not Tripp telling a deaf one, it's Lee telling Tripp telling a deaf one. You know, there's like 2 or 3 different people involved. Like you got to remember, the whistleblower didn't actually hear this call himself, right? He was told this by somebody else that works over at the CIA, NSA, whatever it was. You never heard of it being called Chinese whispers? I call it telephone whispers. Oh, okay, cool. Tripp, how could you? Yeah, Tripp, you bad person. But that's what I'm saying, right? So at the moment, it's like Tripp confessing it to a deaf one, but then a deaf one has told Lee, who then's ratted out Tripp. It's like, well, did he actually do it, or is this, Chinese whispers? Well, he had it coming. Good point. But yeah, obviously Trump Jr. immediately turns his sights on Quinley, hammering the congressman in a series of tweets. Can you believe this insanity? Hearsay can be much better evidence than direct evidence, according to Democrat Mike Quinley. Trump tweeted, "Are you effing kidding me? Third or fourth party info better than hearing it yourself?" ? Trump added, "From a reliable fourth party source, according to other Democrats like something Schiff, the best evidence is stuff you make up for your political gains that appears to be what they've been doing all along." I think you lose a lot of people when it comes to this impeachment hearing when you start making stupid statements like, for example, hearsay can be better than direct evidence. I think this is a really bad road to go down if that's what you're claiming. But Mike Quinley claims that hearsay can be better than direct evidence. Everybody is talking about this point at the moment. Democrat Illinois Representative Mike Quinley claimed during Wednesday's impeachment hearing that hearsay could be better than direct evidence. Quinley, while questioning Deputy Assistant Secretary of State George Kent and Acting Ambassador to Ukraine Bill Taylor, attempted to make the case that their impressions of the second-hand information could potentially be more valuable than direct evidence of what occurred. This is absolute insanity. If you have, for example, transcripts of the phone conversation, that is going to be better than any hearsay that anybody has ever said. They're going to bang this impeachment drum a long way. They're not going to let up on him. No, they're not. They're not going to let up on it. No. But it's going to kill their campaign. This is literally killing the Democrats in 2020. This is the death by the 1,000 impeachment cuts. And the amount of people that I know, even here in Australia, that are like, this impeachment is a load of crap. Like, even the news today, which is extremely left-wing bias, was like, yeah, the impeachment proceedings on Trump are underway, but it wasn't real good for the Democrats. You know, like, even the media over here has had to admit it. But, I don't know. But Jim Gorin, Schroed's Democrat impeachment witness, what you heard did not happen. So Representative Jim Jordan, which is a Republican from Ohio, I think it was, ripped Democrats' impeachment witness, Ambassador William Taylor, on Wednesday as he deconstructed the narrative the Democratic Party has promoted surrounding President Donald Trump's July 25th phone call with Ukraine President. So, what do we have here? Let's watch the clip.
Ambassador, you weren't on the call, were you? You didn't listen on President Trump's call and President Zelensky's call?
I did not.
You've never talked with Chief of Staff Mulvaney?
I never did.
You never met the president?
That's correct.
You had 3 meetings again with Zelensky and it didn't come up.
And 2 of those they had never heard about, as far as I know.
And
There was no reason for it to
President
come up.
Zelensky never made an announcement. This is what I can't believe. And you're their star witness. You're their first witness.
Mr.
You're the
Jordan,
guy. You're the guy based on this. Based on, I mean, I've seen church prayer chains that are easier to understand than.
I like Jim Gordon. I like Jim. Is it Jim Gordon? I like him. He's holy shit. Like, even their witness. Watch the witness's face when Jim Gordon goes on about this.
Ambassador, you weren't on the call, were you? You didn't listen on President Trump's call and President Zelensky's call?
I did not.
You've never talked with Chief of Staff Mulvaney?
I never did.
You never met the president?
That's correct.
You had 3 meetings again with Zelensky and it didn't come up.
And 2 of those they had never heard about, as far as I know.
Like, he's literally actually providing more evidence that this is a load of crap himself. This is their star witness for impeachment, mind you. This is like them going on about impeaching President Trump. This is their star witness, and even he's turning around saying, yeah, and even in those 3 cases, 2 of them had never heard about it before. Like, even your star witness doesn't believe this impeachment proceeding. But watch his face. Just watch his face. It's priceless.
There was no reason for it to come
President
up.
Zelensky never made an announcement.
He says there was no reason for it to ever come up, right? Yeah.
This is what I can't believe. And you're their star witness. You're their first witness.
Look at him. He's like, yeah, I know. Can you believe this shit? I'm their star witness and none of this is making any sense. Like, I really do like Jim. I really like Jim. I don't know if he's a good politician, but he's good on the takedowns. He really, really is. We'll keep going through this. Drag queen crashes impeachment hearing. It's a crazy day in Washington. So, it's a crazy day in Washington. I'm flipping my wig over the high energy proceedings today. And we'll see how you feel about it tomorrow. Tensions are high and the bar for who's allowed in the loveliness is very, very low. What the... Speaking of a joke, what the actual... Look at the girl in the background. She's like, what the fuck is this? Like, yeah, so apparently that happened. Jim Gordon expresses Shift Star witness stunning lack of knowledge. So we have yet another Jim takedown. Let's watch this. Maybe it's the same one.
Ambassador Taylor, thank you for being here. AIDS held up on July 18th, is that right?
That's when I first heard about it, Mr.
And then it's released, Ambassador Taylor, on September 11th. And we know that from your deposition, in those 55 days that aid is delayed, you met with President Zelensky 3 times. The first one was July 26th, the day after the famous call now between President Trump and President Zelensky. President Zelensky meets with you, Ambassador Volker, and Ambassador Sondland. And again, according to your deposition and your testimony, there was no linkage of security assistance dollars to investigating Burisma or the Bidens. Second meeting is August 27th. Again, in this 55-day time frame, second meeting is August 27th. President Zelensky meets with you and Ambassador Bolton and others. And again, there's no linkage of dollars, security assistance dollars, to an investigation of the Bidens. Then, of course, the third meeting is September 5th. President Zelensky meets with you and Senators Johnson and Murphy. And once again, there was no linkage of security assistance dollars to an investigation of Burisma or the Bidens. 3 meetings with the president of Ukraine, the new president, and no linkage. That's accurate?
Ms. Jordan, it's certainly accurate on the first two meetings, because to my knowledge, the Ukrainians were not aware of the hold on assistance until the 29th of August.
So the Politico article.
Political article. The third meeting that you mentioned with the senators, Senators Murphy and Senator Johnson, there was discussion of the security.
Hang on. Whoa. Back up. August 29th, he just said, was when the Ukrainians found out that the aid had been delayed, right? But Trump was supposedly in July 26th, 25th, I think it is, of July or June, I can't remember, supposedly threatening to hold up aid while on the phone to the president of the Ukraine. So the president of the Ukraine literally having a conversation 2 months, or 3 months even, before finding out that it was actually delayed, somehow missed Trump threatening to hold aid. Mr. President, I'm Donald Trump. I'm going to withhold aid because I want you to investigate the Bidens. Okay, I want you to investigate my political amenities. Ukraine president, right, goes, oh no, Mr. Trump, please don't do that, right? That's what they're trying to make out happened. But the Ukraine president didn't know that Trump was going to withhold aid. But they're claiming that he was holding aid and told them on the phone because of this whole quid pro quo, right? If you have a quid pro quo. You've got to be like, I'm going to withhold aid unless you do something. That's what they're claiming is their crux of this impeachment, right? But somehow the Ukraine president missed the overwhelming, unsubtle hint that Trump was going to give him about holding aid back in July or June. Does anybody else think that maybe if Trump was holding a quid pro quo, let me rephrase it this way, right? If Trump was holding a quid pro quo regarding this aid being withheld because of not investigating Biden, do you think that someone in the Ukraine government might have known about it before August the 26th or whatever it was, right? If Trump is going to withhold aid from a country, you think they might have heard about it when they were on the phone with Trump, because that's what a quid pro quo is, right? Oh, I'm going to withhold aid from your country, and unless you go through and I know I sound a bit like Obama here, but regardless, but I'm going to withhold aid unless you investigate the Bidens, right? Because the Bidens are a bad man. They got a bad wall, right? I want to build a wall, right? But no, that didn't happen, right? So where's the quid pro quo exactly coming out of this? We seem to be a quid pro quo short of a quid pro quo here. Is anybody else thinking that this doesn't really make any sense? I don't know. It seems like we're sort of missing the central crux of this impeachment hearing. You know, if Ukraine had to find out about it from a freaking article 3 months or 2 months later, there really wasn't much of a quid pro quo happening, was there? Here's Trump impression. Stop that, please. I'm sorry. But yeah, she must be there because of Trump's launch effort to criminalize homosexuality across the world. Yes, it's a good thing, Trip, that Trump is not trying to decriminalize homosexuality across the world, because that would go against their agenda. Right? Okay? So, yeah, good thing. The narrative they are trying to spin never makes sense. Yeah, okay, so I'm not the only person that's not getting this right. We seem to be a quid pro quo short of a quid pro quo here. The Ukraine ambassador, Taylor, here, is literally admitting the first they heard about it was in August. Huh? I don't know. Maybe the Democrats can explain it to me, right? We got another Jim Gordon takedown. Let's listen to this one. Oh, I like these Jim Gordon takedown.
And then it's released, Ambassador Taylor, on September 11th. And we know that from your deposition, in those 55 days that aid is delayed, you met with President Zelensky 3 times.
Okay, I think we've seen this one already.
July 26th, the day after the famous call now between President Trump and President Zelensky. President Zelensky meets with you, Ambassador Volker, and Ambassador Sondland. And again, according to your deposition, your testimony, there was no linkage of security assistance. Yeah, Trip, we've actually already talked about it. That was one of the first stories we actually covered today. That video, that extract of the video will be up on Nonpartisan Media later. But yeah, there wasn't a lot to it. It's only literally happened an hour ago. Basically, 6 people were injured, 1 person was killed, and the shooter has been arrested. But that video will be up on Nonpartisan as a separate segment. Alright, we've seen this already, so we can basically get rid of that. Jordan, impeachment hearing, a good day for Trump.
Sad episode for the country, but like we said in the hearing today, 4 facts will never change. The transcript speaks for itself. There was no conditionality, no quid pro quo in the transcript. The 2 guys on the call have both been very clear. No pressure, no pushing, no no linkage to investigations in both President Zelensky and President Trump have said. And of course, President Zelensky didn't pledge to do any investigations prior to the aid being released, and the Ukrainians didn't know that the aid was even on hold at the time of the call. Their first two witnesses. Neither one of them's ever talked to the president, talked to Chief of Staff Mulvaney, or talked with Mayor Giuliani. And as I said with Ambassador Taylor, he had 3 meetings with President Zelensky, and all 3 of those meetings never once did this idea of linking security assistance dollars to an investigation ever come up. And of course, we know what President Zelensky said: no pledge, no promise, no starting of any investigations prior to the aid being released. So, again, I think this is a sad chapter for the country, but frankly, a good day for the facts and a good day for the President of the United States. I want to turn over to Ms. Stefanik.
He's done a pretty good job of wrapping it up there, to be honest. And look, to be honest, if this is their star witness, if this is the best they've got, Democrats are in real trouble. They really are in big trouble here. Because at the end of the day, none of this impeachment is looking good right now. Unless they've got some magic ace they've got up their sleeve, this is going nowhere. But we knew this months ago, right? We were calling this months ago. We called this impeachment proceeding a load of crock months ago. But, you know, hey, we're just going to waste the US taxpayers' money by doing an impeachment proceeding. Democrats' first public impeachment hearing falls short as complicated, unclear allegations drive inquiry forward. House Democrats' first impeachment inquiry public hearing on Wednesday was widely panned as 2 career diplomats who have testified failed to offer clear allegations of wrongdoing against President Donald Trump, and Democrats running the show found themselves in defense in response to the Republicans in the majority who were aggressive and effective in pushing their counter-narrative. I would agree with that. This is a bad day for the Democrats. This is looking really bad, people. Like, this is shit. Yeah. Your impeachment is gone. It's done. It's dead. If this is the best you've got, your impeachment proceeding is dead on arrival. It's DOA. Call the ambulance, throw it in the back, get the paddles ready. Right, we're going to do a clear 1, 2, 3, poof, impeachment. Because it's literally dead. It's shit. But see what happens in election 2020, I swear. But anyway. Today was a public joke. Stephanie Graham says impeachment hearing was a dud. Now, this is obviously Fox News, so let's see what she has to say.
Thanks, Tucker. So how does the White House plan to respond to what happened today? The White House Press Secretary, Stephanie Grisham, I don't think has ever been on the show, so we're especially happy to have her on tonight. Thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate that. So one thing I noticed in watching this is there are a lot of current employees at the State Department who appear to be not at all on the president's page on foreign policy. That's bad.
Yeah, it's not great, and that's part of the problem that we're having. I mean, there's no reason that anybody in our government across our administration should be actively working against a president, especially a president who's doing so well for this country.
So, like, as a constitutional matter, if you believe in democracy, then legitimacy comes from votes. No foreign service officer got elected to anything.
Correct.
Aren't they constitutionally bound to carry out the foreign policy of the president?
Absolutely. I mean, and if they aren't ready to do that, then they need to resign. I mean, it's simple as that. It's clear that people aren't happy with the results of the 2016 election, and they're trying to stop the win that we'll have in the 2020 election, and we're ready for that. That's fine.
Huh. So what, I mean, you watched there. Did you watch today, and what did you think?
I watched, yes. Look, the 2 star witnesses couldn't even say that they've ever met the president, the 2 star witnesses. There was a quote, actually, that said, hearsay can be much better than evidence, from a Dem. I don't understand how that's even possible. So today was a joke. It was a public joke, which I'm happy the American people got to see, which was different from the last 2 weeks when everything was held behind closed doors. It was all a sham, and it's going to be very easy for the rest of this week for us to fight back.
So you said, I watched, but your inflection suggested that others didn't. Did the president watch?
No, the president was working. He was down in the Oval at 8:30 this morning.
Trump is that worried about impeachment, he didn't even bother watching it. Oh, shit.
And he was in meetings all day. As you know, we had President Erdogan.
Like, he's obviously got his job to do, right? So obviously I wasn't expecting him to watch it glued to the TV, right? I don't imagine Trump sitting there with his popcorn chicken, throwing it at the screen, saying, "You're fake news, you're fake news, you're very fake news," right? Although I'd love to see that. But at the end of the day, you would think that the president would, if he was worried about this at any point in time, would at least tune in for at least 10 minutes or something to see how the thing was going. If I was worried about being impeached, I would tune in at least for a bit. But no, Trump wasn't even throwing popcorn chicken at the screen, right? He wasn't throwing his chicken tenders or whatever you want to imagine, his KFC, right? He wasn't sitting there with a great big bucket of KFC, throwing it at the screen, going, "Oh, you're full of shit, you're fake news, right? You're fake news." He wasn't even doing that. He was just going about his day as usual. That's how concerned about this Trump is right now. This is how strong a case the Democratic Party has for impeaching the president. Where he was like, "Hey, someone's doing something over in Washington right now, but I'm just going to keep going on with my day and ignore it." But regardless.
One from Turkey come in. So he had a foreign visit, and then he met with many other people, and he was working well into the evening before I left to come here.
Are you worried that the constant outrage we get, all manufactured in my view, about Russia, will force the administration into a more hostile posture toward Russia than it would otherwise assume?
No, I think that the president has been very tough on Russia. I think that the president has an obligation to work with all foreign leaders all across the world.
Which he has been, by the way. Trump has been very hard on Russia, harder than Obama has been.
But I'll tell you what, we're not worried about what the country or what the swamp is thinking. If you go out into the country, when we go out into the country, this president is so popular. I'll mention the LSU-Alabama game. I couldn't believe that stadium. So people out in the country know how well...
And in case you guys don't remember what happened with the LSA, I think it was, game, Trump came up on the Jumbotron, and everybody just started chanting MAGA and, USA, USA, and giving him a round of applause. I'll see if I can find the clip for you guys.
This president is doing, so we're really not
But people
worried.
out in the country liked the part, maybe they're all Russian agents, but they liked the part where he said, why don't we just get along with Russia? Like, we don't need to be at odds with Russia. Everyone in D.C., Lindsey Graham, for example, is always jumping up and down about how they're our enemy, we need to fight them in Crimea, if not Cleveland or whatever, these ridiculous bumper stickers. But, like, why wouldn't we do what the public clearly wants, which is lighten up a little bit and, like, update our assumptions for the modern era?
He has an obligation to work with all foreign leaders, and that's what he's doing. I sit in meetings with him with many, many foreign leaders, and he works very well with most of them. When he needs to get tough, he gets tough, and it makes me so proud as a citizen. But, yeah, he's got an obligation to work with everybody, so he'll do that. He'll do that with Putin.
Last time
So in case you guys missed it, here is the video for the LSA. Because to be honest, this is more newsworthy than what this whole Ukraine thing is. But let's just rewatch that. So there you can see Trump and Melania Trump are on the Jumbotron. Also back here, you can see they're there. The sun's reflecting off it, so it's hard to see. But there's Trump and there's Melania. Melania. I'm glad the US president is so unpopular that a whole stadium breaks out in applause and like claps and everything when Trump is on the Jumbotron. Now, look, at the end of the day, yeah, it's Alabama. Yeah, it's a Republican stronghold, I would say. I would call it a Republican stronghold, without checking the demographics. Yeah, it's definitely a southern state. Yes, sure. But, like, this is your president, right? This is your president of the United States. This is how popular he is among the average day Joe Blow. Not the swamp, not Washington, not the liberal elites that sit in their ivory towers throwing their KFC popcorn chicken. By the way, this video has not been sponsored by KFC by any way, but, you know. But they're not throwing their KFC off their balcony, you know. It's none of them. This is the average day Joe Blow. This is the average day American who's sitting there applauding the president who comes up on the Jumbotron. Why? Unemployment, 3-something%. Guess what? In Australia, it's 5-point-something%. He's bringing back manufacturing jobs in the USA. In Australia, we're still selling them out overseas. He's going through and he's building a wall to protect your country. In Australia, we got sharks, so we don't really need to worry about it. But, you know, like, at the end of the day, your president is doing a better job than most of the other presidents or politicians around the world. Sweden has 100 bombings in a year. And what are the Democrats upset about? A nothing burger regarding Ukraine. Oh, Trump might or might not have withheld aid for quid quo quo. We can't provide any witnesses, but it sounds good on the headline, so we're going to run that story. That's what the Democrats are upset about right now. Sweden, literally 100 bombings like this year. Now, we don't know what ethnicity these gang violences are coming from in Sweden, because Sweden stopped recording it all about 2 years ago. Right? But we do know what the data was like before they stopped recording it. And there was an overwhelming majority of people from a third world that were represented in that information. So we can presume that it's the same, right? Record immigration, record amount of bombings. Trump might have said something to a Ukraine president that we can or cannot prove. Impeach Trump! Like, if you guys in America ever get sick of Trump, we'll have him over here. Dead set. Yeah. We'll have to go through and clean up the news before he comes over there, because everybody thinks he's not popular. But anyway. AOC, impeachment about preventing a potential disaster outcome for occurring next year. You gotta love the Democrats when they've literally stopped saying, okay, we're just going to stop bullshitting out now. We're just going to be honest. This whole impeachment is literally about 2020. It's about preventing 2020 and Trump from winning. What happened to all that confidence that you guys had that you were going to win 2020? If you were so concerned about, if you were so confident, I should say, about winning 2020, why is it that you have the need to do this? Because to me, this sounds like you're not that confident at all. Def1 says in chat, no one can walk to Australia, lol. No, they can't. No, or Jesus probably could. But the sharks might even attack him, to be honest. Well, to be fair, the Dems and Liberals, they're yelling in protest with jizzy hands, What makes no noise, so the crowd downs them out. Lol. Yeah, I don't know if in this situation, Trip, I would say I would probably disagree with that. I reckon if the Democrats were there and were booing the president, I would imagine that it would have... The overwhelming majority of people here, I think, are applauding the president, right? If the overwhelming were booing the president, then at the end of the day, I imagine you would have heard it. Trump has been seen drinking and German beer. Impeach him. It's funny, but probably true. But let's listen to this batshit crazy shit, because this is actually them being completely honest with everybody for like literally 5 minutes.
All the breaking news from the first televised impeachment hearing and new information tying the President of the United States to the Ukraine scandal. We're joined now by Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's a member of the House Oversight Committee. Congresswoman, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it very much on a busy, historic day. Are you satisfied with how the House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff conducted this hearing today?
Absolutely. I think Chairman Schiff did a phenomenal job, especially considering how contentious parts of the hearing were between parties. There was a lot of different ways that this could have gone.
But hang on, wasn't it the Democrats claiming that this impeachment of Trump wasn't along party lines? Wasn't that what they were claiming months ago? That this is not a partisan thing? Oh, but now it's all of a sudden it's along party lines.
Off the rails, and I think he did an excellent job keeping these hearings fair but focused and really centered on the facts and the witnesses that were testifying today.
House Republicans, as you know, they're clearly unanimously standing by the president, at least so far. Will it hurt Democrats if you can't successfully persuade any Republicans that this all rises to impeachable conduct?
I'm actually not overly concerned about this, because I think the whole point of our public hearings is to present these facts to the public and to let the general public really see the facts for themselves and to understand why we have chosen to move forward with the impeachment inquiry. I think
at the moment, the American people aren't seeing any facts. At the moment, the American people are literally hearing coming out of the Democratic Party that facts don't matter, hearsay is more important. So when you're on the news that night, literally claiming that these impeachment hearings are representing the facts, you might want to sit there and wonder, what facts are you actually talking about? Because you're literally got a soundbite from a Democrat saying hearsay is more important than facts.
what we heard today was just astounding and devastating.
Yeah, devastating is the word I will use. Devastating to the Democratic Party. But let's keep going.
News for the president, for anyone that was in the administration that was really partaking. And frankly, this is devastating for the country. Our national security has been compromised. Our elections are potentially compromised. And so I think right now what Republicans...
That to me is important, what she said there. Our elections are compromised. That's what it's all about. It's all about undoing the elections. I would actually make a bet. They're also going to claim that Trump, if he wins 2020, that the elections were rigged, that the elections were compromised. I don't know how popular it would be, but I reckon they'll do it.
Have to do is decide what their role is going to be in the scope of history, because we will look back at this time and really truly examine the moral decisions that each member of Congress has decided to make.
So what jumped out at you, Congresswoman, about the most devastating new information that emerged?
Well, you know, it's been discussed, but this call with Ambassador Sondland and President Trump, it's a personal call that our witnesses testified in aid as overhearing, where Trump was personally...
No. They didn't testify and claim they were overhearing. Okay, you've got a witness claiming they heard someone else talking about this call who was supposedly overhearing. Right? And that's the best case scenario.
Personally invested in these investigations. I think it has added a layer of proximity. You know, one of the ways that the president could have potentially tried to get out of this situation is saying, you know, put several degrees of separation between him and some of this illicit activity. But what we heard today was that he himself was making and partaking in some of these phone calls, not just Giuliani, not just anyone else in administration, but him. And that really adds a much more disturbing degree of the involvement that he had in using the powers of government to create politically motivated investigations.
At that news conference with the Turkish president, the president said he doesn't remember any such call, poo-pooing the whole thing. What do you say to the president?
Well, you know, if he doesn't remember...
Sorry, I thought we were on CNN here. What do you mean? You're asking me a hardball question. I see. Stop! My head is about to explode. Bartendering.
Making a call like that, I would, you know, I would be quite concerned. But that doesn't.
I would be quite concerned. Yeah, we're not really. You're quite concerned. You're right about that.
Doesn't mean that it didn't happen. I think a lot.
What is this girl? What crack are you on? Oh my God, is this girl on drugs? Listen to this again.
Making a call like that, I would.
The president said he doesn't remember any such call, poo-pooing the whole thing. What do you say to the president?
Well, you know, if he doesn't remember making a call like that, I would. You know, I would be quite concerned, but that doesn't mean that it didn't happen. I think a lot of what the...
If the Ukraine ambassador does not remember the call, poo-pooing, and they literally use that phrase, then are you concerned? And her response is, well, if he didn't remember it being brought up, that doesn't mean it didn't happen. What? Well, is Trump telepathic now? He's sending telepathic messages to the Ukraine Prime Minister. Because apparently the other guy that was listening in on the call who talked to somebody else, this is such an absolute mess for the Democratic Party. The Ukraine ambassador has literally said he does not remember that. And her response is, well, just because he says he doesn't remember it happening doesn't mean at the end of the day it didn't happen. No, it literally means that. Right? If I don't remember eating breakfast that morning, chances are, unless I've got a concussion and whacked over the head, chances are I didn't eat breakfast that morning. It's a safe bet that it didn't happen. Right, AOC? If you don't have any experience being a politician and you literally answer a casting call, chances are, using that as an example, chances are you're a puppet. For an example. She's flattering. Yeah, she really is. Like, I don't know, like, I want to wind back to this, right? Watch her facial expression.
You know, if he doesn't remember...
Poo-pooing the whole thing, what do you say to the...
Like that there, like that whole, like that whole sort of, that lip moment there. Eyes down, mouth sort of closed, sort of... Yeah, that to me is like, it's like a kid that's been caught stealing, right? You stole the cookie from the cookie jar, right? And it's like, yeah, I did, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right, I stole the cookie from the cookie jar. Who stole the cookie from the cookie jar? Alexandria did, apparently, because that's the expression she's got on her face. Look, that there. I know it's not a real clear video, and that's because, well, it's the source. It's not my internet connection. I can say that now. But yeah, like, it's that whole eyes down, closed mouth. It's like, yeah, you're right. I did do this. Yeah, you're right. It is true. the experience I've had in my life with different realities, the narrative they try to spin defies logic in so many ways. Yeah, I would say that too. She looks like she got something in her mouth that tastes bad. Yeah, probably a hard question is what I would say.
President.
Well, you know, if he doesn't remember making a call like that, I would, you know, I would be quite concerned, but that doesn't mean that it didn't happen. I think a lot of what the president's reactions tend to be deflecting, but I think it is quite telling that he is not being defensive about this. This is an extraordinarily serious allegation.
Yes, Trip, I did get the innuendo, and now I'm constantly thinking about AOC on her knees. Like, okay, look, I know you're probably going to hate me for saying this, but as much as the girl is a dimwit and stupid, she's got a good body on her, right? Like, let's face it, that's why she's there, right? She's a mouthpiece.
That is being made by a person who works in his administration. And so if he were to defend this, he should do so quite forcefully.
Oh, don't be sorry, bro. Don't be sorry.
The allegation that's coming from...
If someone came up to me and said, would you do AOC? Like, if you walked into a bar and saw AOC and she was, like, jumping on your pocket rocket, would you do it? And I'd be like, hell yeah! She's hot, right? You know, she has that whole... Look, she's like Bambi, right? Looking into headlights. She has that whole reaction. But at the end of the day, she is pretty hot still.
From someone within his own administration is extraordinarily serious. That's not something that you remember or not remembering whether you did or didn't do.
A lot of the initial messaging in all of this uproar involved the words quid pro quo. Do Democrats, Congresswomen, need to fine-tune their language on all of this? How do you think Democrats should be making their case to the American people?
Well, I'd like to remind everyone that one of the initial folks who brought this conversation of quid pro quo into this conversation was the president. It was when these allegations first came out about Ukraine, he started tweeting and frankly raising the bar, saying no quid pro quo, no quid pro quo. It wasn't Democrats that were even trying to set that bar because you don't even need quid pro quo.
Hang on. AOC's running off with the goalpost. AOC, come back! Stop moving. Come back. AOC, bring the goalpost back here, all right? We want you to stop running away and moving the goalposts.
But he met it. Aside from that, all of this aside, we're centrally focused.
Let's keep going because we've got so much to cover regarding this, and it's just... She's the type of girl you just want to stick. Good pose, yeah. That's her gagging on the truth. And I did use gagging deliberately. Ukraine Foreign Minister, U.S. investigations were never linked. Ukraine Foreign Minister Vladimir Putin said Thursday that U.S. Ambassador to the EU, Gordon Shallow, had never linked U.S. aid to the Ukraine investigations of the 2016 elections or of the Biden's role in stopping a probe from Burisma. And Shift artist Sabu Sawatsky, I'm getting that name wrong, Adam Schiff impeachment hearing as shameless. So Shifty Schiff's clown show live at 10 a.m. Monday to Friday. It's a pretty good artist, actually. Shameless, that's what the street artist known as Samo thinks of the Representative Adam Schiff, who's a Democrat for California, and the congressional impeachment hearings against President Trump currently unfolding in Washington, D.C. Lindsey Graham, I will call Adam Schiff to testify in the Senate. Oh, this could get interesting. So, Lindsey Graham, Republican from Sacramento, maybe? I'm not quite sure of SC, told Fox News' Sean Hannity on Wednesday evening that he will call Representative Adam Schiff, who's a Democrat for California, to testify in the Senate if the House impeaches President Donald Trump. Graham added that he would not allow a trial of President Trump in the Senate based on hearsay evidence alone, and without the testimony from the whistleblower. Graham was speaking after the close of the day of the public hearing in the House Intelligence Committee as a part of the impeachment inquiry authorized by the Democrats' House resolution that passed along party lines 31st of October. It's too bad we have to pay for that clown show with our taxes. That's exactly it, Trip. How much money was wasted on Ukraine and Russiagate? Now, obviously, this is even, this impeachment obviously is good news for the stock market because stock market record high as impeachment hearing sputters. The reason why this happens is obviously the investors are confident this impeachment is not going to go along, and subsequently the Dow Jones has actually increased. So both the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P 500 closed at record highs on Wednesday. The Dow rose to 92.10 points, or 0.3 of a percentage point, to 27,783.59, and the SP 500 moved up 2.2 points, less than 0.1 of a percentage point. But since those indexes are already at record high, even the smallest gains were enough to set new records. The Nasdaq composite fell 3.9, or less than 0.1 of a percentage point. So generally, it was a good day for the stock market. Obviously, this impeachment hearing into Trump is going in leaps and bounds because, you know, the stock market is that worried about Trump being impeached. Right. But hey, it's not all bad news regarding this, because exclusive bombshell documents released by Ukraine's General Prosecutor's Office reveal millions funneled to Hunter Biden and the John Kerry family. Documents released this evening tie millions of dollars from foreign sources to Hunter Biden, Devon Archer, and John Kerry and his family. Documents reportedly linked from the Ukraine General Prosecutor's Office show complex money transfers from foreign sources into former President, Vice President, and Secretary of State's families. So, this is interesting. So, according to the counterintelligence in Latvia, around $4 million was obtained by Burisma Holdings Limited, which was then transferred to Hunter Biden and Devon Archer. So, a description money transfer of $14,655,982 and $366,015 euro from Wirelic Tech AS and 1.9 million from Digital X Organization LLP. Further apart, the sums describe the transfer to Alan Appenter, Alexandria Kosindra, and Devon Archer and Hunter Biden. As the Gateway Pundit reported last night, the payments from Burisma to Hunter Biden and the Kerry family from Burisma Holdings include 38 payments of $83,000, totaling over $3.1 million. So this impeachment really could blow up in their face, because right now there's actually looking like there's more evidence to support the Democrats have been paid off by this Burisma Holdings. To me, there is more of a question regarding Joe Biden and Burisma Holdings. Literally, when you're talking about, for example, that video where he admits to actually getting the prosecutor fired, or he was going to withhold aid. Which is funny because that's what they're worried Trump did. But regardless. Democrat impeachment hearing accidentally makes case for Hunter Biden investigation. So the impeachment inquiry into President Donald Trump backfired on Congress Democrats Wednesday when a star witness inadvertently made the case that Hunter Biden's wheeling and dealing in Ukraine should be investigated. Testifying before the House Committee on the opening of the day of the inquiry, Deputy Assistant Secretary of State George Kent admitted that the U.S. officials had been urging Ukraine government for some time to explain why an investigation into Burisma Holdings, the Eastern European oil and gas company that employed Hunter Biden, was on the board of directors, was shut down. We've continued to press Ukraine officials to answer why alleged corruption prosecutors had closed the case, Kent said. We have until now got an unsatisfactory answer. Kent, who has claimed former New York Center Mayor Giuliani Giuliani engineered the firing of the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine through a campaign of slander, is considering a key witness of the congressional Democrats as they seek to improve the president's conduct, raises of the level of impeachment. We do have the video. We're just going to play that for you now, so that way I don't have to use my words. Because today I can't speak properly. So we're just going to play the video.
Corruption in Ukraine is endemic, correct?
That's correct.
And it affects the courts, the prosecutors, and there have historically been problems with all the prosecutors in Ukraine, correct?
I would say up until the new set of prosecutors appointed by President Zelensky in the last 2 months, correct.
Okay, and so the U.S. government, the consensus hope at the State Department and the National Security Council and the White House is that Zelensky's the real deal. He's a real reformer. He's genuinely interested in rooting out corruption, prosecuting the bad guys, correct?
I would say we are cautiously optimistic, and we will work wherever there is the political will to do the right thing and put forward genuine reform.
And at the heart of the corruption is this oligarchical system, correct? Where the oligarchs take control, often by virtual theft of, for example, the right to certain energy licenses, correct?
That is one element, yes, sir.
And the company Burisma, its leader, Sochevsky, he has a little bit of a storied history of corruption, doesn't he?
Mr. Zlochevsky was Minister of Energy from 2010 and 2012 under the pro-Russian government, and he used his regulatory authority to award gas exploration licenses to companies that he himself controlled. That would be considered an act of corruption in my view, yes.
He literally, just to recap that, he was literally the energy minister for Ukraine and was awarding licenses to his own company to go out and to make money off the energy sector. Is that corruption? I would say probably a strong yes on that answer.
Only self-dealing.
Certainly self-dealing and self-enriching.
And how did the Ukrainian government ultimately pursue that?
In the spring of 2014, the Ukrainian government, the new government after the Revolution of Dignity, turned to partners, particularly the U.S. and the U.K., to try to recover tens of billions of dollars of stolen assets. The first case that we tried to recover that money came from Mr. Zlochevsky. The Serious Crimes Office in the U.K. had already opened up an investigation. They worked with us and the Ukrainian authorities to develop more information. The $23 million was frozen until somebody in the General Prosecutor's Office of Ukraine shut the case, issued a letter to his lawyer, and that money went poof.
So essentially paid a bribe to make the case go away.
That is our strong assumption, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, at any point in time, has anyone in the Ukrainian government tried to reinvestigate that, or did those crimes just go unpunished, and was he free to go?
Mr. Zlochevsky spent time, as far as I understand, in Moscow and Monaco after he fled Ukraine. We continued to raise as a point of order that because U.S. taxpayer dollars had been used to try to recover frozen assets, that we have a fiduciary responsibility, and we continued to press Ukrainian officials to answer for why alleged corrupt prosecutors had closed a case, and we have, till now, not gotten a satisfactory answer. So, to summarize, We thought that Mykola Zlochevsky had stolen money. We thought a prosecutor had taken a bribe to shut the case, and those were our main concerns.
And are you in favor of that matter being fully investigated and prosecuted?
I think since U.S. taxpayer dollars were wasted, I would love to see the Ukrainian Prosecutor General's office find who the corrupt prosecutor was that took the bribe and how much it was paid. And that's what I said to the Deputy Prosecutor General on February 3rd, 2015.
Wow. Okay. This does not look good for Biden. That's all I'm going to say on that. I ate them in Danishes with coffee. Now I'm regretting it. Yeah. But yeah, that does not look good for Biden. But yeah. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, as for this, look, yeah, I think there is more to go against Biden than there is to go against Trump. If you want to make the case regarding that, then I would say it's most likely, yeah, it's... I don't know, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, but I would say there's more of a case of against Biden than there is against Trump. But let me know what your thoughts are. Alright, so we've got a couple more stories to go. Not much, but a couple more. Teenage boy, 16, accused of starting a huge bushfire that destroyed 36 buildings in Queensland, is arrested over pathetic arson attack. So, as we've been covering the past few days, there are huge bushfires in New South Wales and also in Australia at the moment. It does seem that they were deliberately lit. And it looks like it might have been this kid. Now, I want to use the words, obviously he is alleged, until proven guilty, but let's jump into it. 16-year-old boy has been arrested and accused of starting a bushfire near the central Queensland coast that destroyed 36 buildings. At least 14 homes were also burnt to the ground and deliberately lit fire, which started at Caboolture about 10:30 p.m. on Saturday. So the ravage is surrounding the areas of Buniga, Adelaide Park, Maryville, and Lake Mary. Police say the teenager has not been charged with arson, but will be dealt with under the state's Youth Justice Act. So this is the video here. I just want to show you what this kid's done. Allegedly, by the way. Grab that out of the way. So this is the fire that the arson has lit, and this is what was the results. This firestorm that happened. That destroyed 36 people's homes. Do you have Smokey the Bear down there? No, I don't think so. We do have some sort of fire safety bear or mascot, but I don't know if it's Smokey the Bear, but yeah. Personally, look, at the end of the day, I'm going to say that if this kid is responsible for this, he needs to be tried as an adult. We need to start getting tough on crime. Australia has a real big problem at the moment with crime because we're not treating... We got kids that know they can skirt the law and skirt the system because they're kids. Damn, this is sad, the destruction. Oh, yeah. There was a huge firestorm, dude. Huge fire. Here it is here.
Has ripped through a central...
Here it is here. This is the fire
Queensland
here. That's what it was lit by because of this kid. Obviously, the New South Wales fires are obviously, I think they're still going. We're not sure who did those yet, but yeah. More than 70 fires are now burning across Queensland since the current crisis erupted in a week ago. Yeah. People have lost everything. People have lost their homes, cars, furniture, memories.
Destroying 2 boats and
Equipment, property, all because of this kid. And that's where I have a serious problem. Say an average house is worth $500,000, right? This kid has just wiped out literally 16, 14, whatever million dollars, roughly, in property value alone. Not including possessions, cars, boats, whatever it may be. It's absolutely disgusting. And he knows he's going to get away with it because he's 16. So, I don't know. I don't know. Do we need to start... would you guys suspect that you should try him as adult? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Personally, I would be okay with charging this 16-year-old as an adult. There's no way he's going to be able to pay this money back in his lifetime. Even if you put him on a payment plan, what's he going to pay? What? $500,000 a year? For the next, 30 years? There's no way he's going to be able to pay it all back. Even if he has to pay for all this damage. Well, I wonder if the homeowners could sue him. That would be interesting. Sue him for the damages for the house. In the US, every state would try him as an adult. That is interesting, Odiflin. Would we want to know his motivation? Did he think it would get real big? Well, that's the idea of lighting a fire, isn't it? Trip? To watch it burn? To watch it get really, really big and powerful and, to be there. Isn't that the idea of, lighting the fire? To make it so that it was as bad as possible? Here's the thing. Was he looking up, for example, did he look up weather patterns, for example, right? And find out which way the wind was going? And if it was a windy day. Anyway, but what do you guys think in the comment section below? Do you think he should be tried as an adult? Or do you think he should be tried as a child? I think he's going to get away with it because he's a kid. Let me know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. Alright. So, suicide rates have fallen after gay marriage legalized in Sweden and Denmark. Rate amongst those in same-sex unions falls by 46%, but still at worrying high, says researchers. Which is weird because I didn't think the actual suicide rate changed after gay marriage was legalized. So, this could be fake news from The Guardian, but let's have a look. Suicide rates, and they do have a link, so we'll check that out, among the same-sex relationships have fallen significant in both Denmark and Sweden since the legalization of gay marriage. According to a study, although whatever their marital status, homosexual people remain more likely to take their own life. The joint study by the Danish Research Institute for Suicide Prevention and researchers for Stockholm University compared suicide rates from people in the same-sex and heterosexual relationships in periods between 1989 and 2002 and 2013 to 2016. So, 2003 to 2000. So, there's a 13-year gap difference there. And there's only a... Oh, no, yeah, 13-year gap there. Yep, that's fine. Yep, cool. Danish became the first country in the world to allow same-sex civil partnership in 1989, with neighbouring Sweden following 6 years later. The same-sex marriage, now authorised in 28 countries, became legal in Sweden in 2009 and in Denmark in 2012. Researchers found that between two periods of numbers of suicide among the same-sex couple unions fell by 46%, compared to a decline of about 28% in the number of suicides by people in heterosexual relationships. So what I'm seeing here is suicide as general is falling. That's what I'm seeing here. Generally, suicide rates have fallen. That's a good thing, right? Although suicide rates in the general population of Denmark and Sweden have been decreasing in recent decades, the rate of those living in same-sex marriage declined at a steeper pace, which has not been noted previously. The study, for which 28,000 people in same-sex partnerships for the average of 11 years, concludes. Yeah, suicide might be falling, but you wait till all those immigrants go in there and they start throwing them off roofs. Because that's going to be a little bit inconvenient. That just links to an empty page. Well, that was great research. Look, at the end of the day, I'm not surprised that suicide rates have fallen. It seems like they've fallen generally across the board, although it does seem like it's fallen at a faster rate for the gay and lesbian couple. I'm not surprised. Involuntary suicides. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it seems like it's generally falling across the board. It's no surprise that as the civilization becomes more tolerant to something, obviously the suicide rates regarding that have fallen. Yeah, I get that. That's no real big thing. So, yeah, I get that. It's a good thing, I suppose. But you wait till all those immigrants start throwing people off roofs, then all of a sudden you're going to find homicide rates go up. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Alright. So, interesting story that came out regarding Michael Avenatti. Some of you may remember who that is. And it did happen to drop as the Democrats are trying to impeach Trump. You know, no, hey, look over here, shiny thing over here regarding this, but hey, let's jump into it. A federal grand jury on Wednesday charged Michael Avenatti with the extortion and wire fraud in the case where he was charged with attempting to extort millions of dollars from Nike. According to the complaint, Avenatti threatened to hold a press conference and announce misconduct by Nike unless the athlete apparel company hired Avenatti and his co-conspirators to conduct an internal investigation for over $20 million. Yep, creepy lawyers at it again. So the federal grand jury returned a superseding indictment today against Avenatti in the case which he is charged with attempting to extort millions from Nike per court filing. The supersedes drops the conspiracy charge and adds 1 count of honest service wire fraud. So, criminal complaint against Avenatti says he's devised a scheme to extort a company by means of interstate communication by threatening to damage the company's reputation if the company did not agree to make a multi-million-dollar payment to Avenatti and co-conspirator. The further agreed to pay the additional $1.5 million to the client of Avenatti's. Avenatti dubbed the something or creepy something lawyer for representing Stormy Daniels has been downward spiral professionally and financially in the past year. Avenatti was no longer represented by Stephanie Clifford, aka Stormy Daniels, but he left her with a hefty $293,000 judgment. Seems like he's a real good bloke. This Democratic leader, or Democratic Party supporter, seems like he's a real bunch, like a real top-notch guy. Seems like he's a real good bloke. Nike case, yep. Deflon wins. Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, good on him. Sucked on. I hope he goes to jail and I hope he rots. He tried to extort millions of dollars from a company who was then going to have to pass that on to their users and to the people that buy their products. Like, he's literally trying to blackmail people. I hope he rots in jail, to be honest. I do find it very, very interesting that this story has broken literally as the Democrats are going on about impeachment. Hey, look over here, we're trying to impeach Trump. Please ignore this guy who's tried to extort $20 million from a company that was linked to the anti-Trump campaign. I don't know how you won either, but anyway. But yeah, I think this is, you know, hey, it's like, hey, we got this impeachment of Trump coming out, and we need something to divert people away from Avenatti. Trump impeachment! Ah! A dirty company using child labor to make their overpriced products. Yeah, I would agree that, that's pretty accurate for Nike. That's the same for every company though, Trip, and I'm not trying to justify it, but your iPhone is built the same way, or your Samsung phone is literally built the same way. If you want to get into that sort of discussion, I would agree with you. I don't think Nike is any better in this situation because they still are using those child slave laborers to go through and make their products. But at the end of the day, that's a different story. That's a different topic. Yeah, I don't think Nike is any better than Avenatti in this. But I do find it interesting that Avenatti, who has led the anti-Trump crusade, is literally in trouble for blackmailing a company. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I think Nike's just as bad as him. Let me guys know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Alright, so we're probably down to the last two stories. Yeah, okay, two more stories. Alright, so two more stories to go. AG William Barr says release of Pfizer report is imminent. Oh, this is interesting. We might actually get it today. Attorney General William Barr said Wednesday that the release of an Inspector General's report on FBI surveillance of Trump campaign is imminent. Multiple news outlets reported Tuesday that Michael Hasowitz, the Justice Department Inspector General, has interviewed witnesses, interviewing in connection with the investigation to review portions of the forthcoming report. The step is a routine investigation conducted by the Inspector General and typically signals the release of the report is near. Hasowitz told lawmakers in June that his investigation had interviewed more than 100 witnesses and reviewed more than 1 million documents during the investigation, which began in March 2018. Barr confirms during a press conference on Tuesday that Hasowitz's report is forthcoming. It's been reported, and my understanding is that it's imminent, Barr told reporters in Memphis. A number of people who were mentioned in the report are having an opportunity right now to comment on how they were quoted in the report, and after that process is over, which is very short, the report will be issued. That's what the Inspector General himself suggests. Hasowitz has been investigating whether the FBI followed the law and Bureau investigation guidelines when applying for the 4th Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA warrants, against former Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. The FBI relied on information from Christopher Steele, a former British spy, to argue in the FISA application that there was a probable cause to believe that Page was an actual agent of Russia. Steele worked for an opposition research firm hired by the Clinton campaign and the DNC in 2016 to investigate Trump's possibility links to Russia. Special counsel reporter said that prosecutors found no evidence that Page or anyone associated with the Trump campaign acted as an agent of Russia. The report also said that there was no evidence that Trump campaign conspired with Russia to influence the 2016 presidential election. Steele alleged in his dossier that Page and other Trump associates conspired with the Kremlin operatives. Hasowitz's reporting has been investigated whether the FBI disclosed everything they knew about Steele's reliability as an informant for the Bureau. Husowitz submitted the draft of his report to the FBI and Justice Department on September 13th for a review of classification material contained in the document. On October 24th, they noted lawmakers that the classification process was nearing completion and that the report would be lengthy. Republicans have raised raised expectations that a report will be damning for the former FBI and Justice Department officials who led the Trump-Russia investigation. And I think it will too. I think it's going to be very, very bad for them. At the end of the day, I'm very interested to see this report. I don't want it to come out on a Friday night because, although 24-hour news cycle, we'll probably have to do a show separate just for that. I don't know, guys. What do you reckon about this report? What do you think it's going to say? At the end of the day, I think it's going to be quite damning. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Personally, I think it's going to be quite bad for the FBI and for the Comey and all these sort of guys. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. All right, last story for the day. Alright, so we got some good news for Trump Jr. Triggered debuts at #1 on New York Times bestsellers list. Donald Trump Jr.'s new book, Triggered, debuted at #1 on the New York Times bestseller list on Wednesday. Triggered, which was released in a week earlier on November 6th, appeared to top the list Wednesday ahead of Mitch Obram's Finding Chica and Fox News host Brian Kilmeade's Sam Houston and the Alamo Avengers. So, we got the list there. We'll have a look at that in a sec. Trump Jr. was quick to share the good news, tweeting, "I dedicated Trigger to the deplorables. You guys made it #1. Let's do it again by voting Booth in November. You're the best. #MAGA." Trump Jr. has spent the weeks since his book release traveling around the country signing copies for his fans, which is really, really cool. So here's the list here. So non-fiction Triggers #1. Right there. #1. So that's pretty cool. We do have this video, so what is this?
Keep going!
So yeah, pretty good response, I would say. He even made an appearance at ABC's The View alongside girlfriend and former Fox News personality Kimber Goyford, finding a series of hostile questions and accusations from the show's host. Fielding a series. Look, at the end of the day, I'm interested to see what this book's about. I don't know if it's going to tell me anything new. But God, for the chance to go through and actually get it signed copy by Donnie Jr., I would turn up to these events. I don't know. I think it'd be interesting. I really do. But yeah, good luck to him. I hope the book does well. But yeah, I really would like to see Donnie Jr. run in 2024. Maybe we can have 16 years of Trump administration. I don't know. What do you guys reckon? But yeah, it's good news for him. Good news for the Trump family. And obviously good news for book readers out there as well. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Are you planning on buying Triggered? Are you planning on going and getting it signed? Let me know what your thoughts are in that comment section. And that's basically where we're going to leave the show, guys. How long have we been going? Almost over 2.5 hours. Yeah, Don Jr. 2024. I would agree with that. You're surprised they put it on top. Well, they had to, didn't they? Yeah, but look, at the end of the day, guys, obviously that's where we're going to leave the show for today. I am expecting my new PC parts to finally turn up today. I'm waiting on a motherboard and a case, and that's all I'm waiting on. I have everything else. I have the processor, I have the memory, I have the SSDs, the power supply I'm about to go and pick up right now. I just need the case and the motherboard, and it's supposedly turning up by mail. So I don't know where it is. It was ordered on Tuesday. It's Friday here. It should be here soon, but we just got to wait to see what happens. I had to order it from a different store because the people that I normally get my parts through hadn't had it in over a week. So yeah, it was like God knows how long before it turned up. Although if I check that store now, I bet you find it's actually available. View order. I'm getting the Corsair Obsidian 5D, D50, sorry. No, it's still out of stock. So it still wouldn't have turned up any faster. But anyway, guys, that's where we're going to leave the live stream today. Put your specs in Discord after the show. Oh, for the new PC. Yeah. Yeah. All right, no problems. Yeah. It's pretty beefy, man. It's like an i9. So, yeah. Apart from that, I also want to go through and sort of do a live show today talking about Star Citizen. If you guys are interested in that, I might do that in about half an hour. Because Star Citizen Live, Star Citizen, Inside Star Citizen was out 30 minutes ago. So I might go and do that live show, guys. Obviously go and check out GamersCafe on Twitch for that. So obviously feel free to tune in for that. Apart from that, guys, obviously the video has been helpful. Please smack that like button. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Big shout out to everybody who sat here for the whole show and watched it. You guys are amazing, and it's because of you I do the show. Yeah, where the hell do heck do I sell on Lawville? What are you trying to sell, Trip? You're trying to sell like rocks and stuff. But yeah, hit me up in Discord, buddy. I'm actually in Discord at the moment. I'll jump in general and yeah. Apart from that, guys, obviously, thank you everybody who has been in for the Nonpartisan Media. Trip, Def1, Lee, I've seen you in here. Big shout out to you guys and everybody else that's tuned in. And like I say, guys, every day we do the same show. Same day, same time, every day. So feel free to go and check it out. Rocks. Yeah, sell rocks at the admin center. I would say the admin center or the trade terminals. It's normally where you do trade and it comes up as personal inventory. But apart from that, guys, we will see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. And I'll see you guys who jump over to the GamersCafe in a bit. I'm going to go and have a drink and then probably kick off the live show in about 10 minutes. So let's do that. Let's have a live show day. See you guys soon. Have a great night.